Getting hype when I aim up, elevating that game up, stepping up to the competition. Only first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. Watch me elevate. All in when I show up, whole place about to blow up. superior to that competition. I'm in first place, yeah, that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up in the place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. I was born and when I watched me elevate.
Broken dreams in my pocket, golden thing round my neck like a locket. Carve your name in my mind, 'cause you caught it, you caught it. You're golden, golden, honestly you know it. Me under the street like I am so I could show you. You're golden, golden, honestly you're glowing. Me under the mezzanine just so that I could show you. You're golden, yeah, you're golden. You're golden, yeah, yeah, you're golden, golden, yeah. When we meet, hold my hand in the darkness. Summer heat, bodies lay on the carpet. Eye to eye, glistening, no, I saw it. I saw it. You're golden, golden, honestly you know it. Me under the street like I am so I could show you. You're golden, golden, honestly you're glowing. Me under the mezzanine just so that I could show you. You're golden, yeah, you're golden. You're golden, yeah, yeah, you're golden, golden. You're golden, yeah, you're golden, you know it, yeah, you're glowing, golden, yeah. Golden, golden, honestly you know it. Me under the street or at the end so I could show you. Golden, golden, honestly you know it. Me under the golden.
that of Hitman, as we are going to go green and go here then. We are green and go. We can get back into the pit lane and we can watch as Sharkbait currently in third place with Benbath looking up the inside. Hitman a little wide as Ogre's up the inside at turn one down towards Paddock Hill Bend.
I feel your heart beating here in this place. Pain has no meaning. I need to know I'm not alone. Now take it home as the night begins to fade away. Yesterday, I wanna stay in this moment here with you. I know in this life we take what we're given, and the sun may still rise.
To the outside, Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to try and go around the outside, but as we said last week, Kelly's one of the hardest defenders. Gets it stopped. They both run a little deep. And look at Ant. He's trying to have a run up on the inside of the Nissan. In towards Druids they go. Ant, thank your mama for the carrots. Not quite yet because she's not delivered them. Now gets the move done.
Yesterday, I wanna stay in this moment here with you. I wish it were clear why you had to go. I wish you were near. I'll keep you right here beside me. I need to know I'm not alone. Now take it home as the night begins to fade away. To yesterday, I wanna stay in this moment here. I need to know which way to go. Now take me home as the night begins to fade away. To yesterday, I wanna stay in this moment here with you. In this moment here with you. In this moment here with you.
Getting hype when I aim up. Elevating that game up. Stepping up to the competition.
And this is the final lap of the race. Can we just say Sharkbait is on the final lap and is halfway through the lap. Up the inside goes Anton Graham Hill. Job done, he's on the podium. We've had a new winner every race in the Amateur League. Sharkbait becomes your 5th winner in AM and becomes your 5th winner of the season.
I was born a winner, watch me elevate. I was born a winner, watch me elevate. I was born a winner, watch me all in when I show up. Whole place about to blow up. Superior to that competition. I'm in first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm winning.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport, here for the latest instalment of the amateur season. It is round 6 of the season for the Amateur League, and what a crackerjack we have in store. We are in South Africa, the first time SimPlay Motorsport has been in South Africa, and we cannot wait to get going. I'm your host, once again, Mathew, joining me in the box on a Tuesday night, and for the remainder of the season, is my partner in crime. Some call him a better commentator than Unorthodox. Some may call him a Porsche Cup champion. All we know is he's called Fury. Joe, good evening to yourself. How are you?
Good evening, Matt. I'm good. How about you?
Very well, thank you, young sir. Are we looking forward to tonight? We come to South Africa for the first time at SimPlay Motorsport, and we take on this very tricky circuit of Kyalami.
Yeah, it's a very interesting track, I do say so myself. Me and Mike Matthews were doing a bit of testing here. I think it was Sunday night, I believe. And let's just say it is a very difficult track to coordinate. You have to be pinpoint on every single corner. Just one mistake and you could just completely destroy your car.
Indeed you do, and it does seem like a bit more of a mid to rear engine sort of circuit as we can see at the minute. It's 3 Ferraris that are leading the way so far in this current session, and you may recognise a name on that list that you're thinking, hang on a moment, he's a 6-time champion. What is he doing here? Well, we'll talk you through the current championship standings and then we'll get into it. So at the moment it is Jay who is leading. We've just changed off Jay, we'll go back to him. It is Jay with 125 points left up for grabs before tonight. Jay leads the way by 4 points from this man, Future Revenge, currently sat in the pit lane. Ginger Bush not able to make tonight. He is then on 78.6 points behind in P3. Ant is then P4, also sat in the pits. He's only 12 points off the championship. A very close, tight championship here. Tech Leader, currently the quickest man out on circuit, is running P5 in the series at the moment, and he's only 14 points off the championship leader as we go so far. Before we head to Emo Guy, 4th fastest at the moment. He himself is 17 points off this championship lead, so very tight. Baraba then, in his Bentley, not yet set a lap time, is down P7, only 18 points off the back, before Danlick, in his red McLaren, is 19 points off the championship lead down in P8. John Andrews in his Porsche is P9, he's 20 points off the back. No KLF tonight, he's P10. Ben Bath is in P11, 36 points behind. He's tied in the championship with Sharkbait, so them two have a lot for things to do. A lot of things to do to sort of beat each other. Ben Bath and Sharkbait at the moment currently going absolute bit. Shoemaker is then on 27 points. Hitman not here tonight on 14. Oh, having to serve a race ban this week in 15th. Checo Bress, 16th place. Leon Fernie is here tonight. He is down in 17th place. Lee Hendy not here. New driver, CV Urena, hopefully is in. He has confirmed that he is racing tonight. And then we go to the man in last place. It is this man who's just commented in the chat. Fury, you're cursed now, mate. He is cursed because I said he possibly will win Porsche Cup. This man, Dan Unorthodox, 6-time champion at SimPlay Motorsport, wasn't racing GT3s, but is decided to come back to GT3, and because he has to go through the protocol, as myself did, drive in the lower division, and I had to be in a slower car. I was in the Acura on Project Cars 2. Dan has had to go in the Retia. Now, Joe, you teamed with Dan last season. He's decided to make that jump back into the GT3 car. And an interesting choice.
Oh, it's a very interesting choice. It is one of the weirdest cars I have ever seen on a grid. Considering how low it sits, it might as well be a lowrider. But Dan as a teammate, last season, it was just pinpoint. And obviously, we took the constructors away from you and Gary, I believe.
Yeah.
At the last race of the season at Mazzano.
Yep.
And I almost bottled it and underfueled the car. But I still managed to get the points over Gary. But yeah, it was a very interesting season with Dan, and I'm just interested to see what he can do tonight in that Retia.
Oh, this is going to be fantastic to see. Also in the commentary box tonight is PM Motorsport. He's not on comms. He's kind of coming back from comms a little bit so he can do Porsche Cup on a Sunday night with myself. But he is our Ted Kravitz of the SimPlay League tonight. He's our pit lane reporter, and he's crucially watching them pit-ins and pit-outs. And PN, if we can grab a quick word, obviously pit-ins and pit-outs is a hot topic over the weekend, if I do say so myself. What are we looking for tonight? Because it is a long pit exit here that drivers have got to be cautious of.
Don't cross that white line. Pit entry is quite quick. There's no real blend line into it around here. It's just straight in, and then the speed limit line is there as you go in.
Yeah.
But the exit is such a long way towards turn one.
Well, indeed it is. So it's going to be interesting to see where people feed out the grid. So if you want, or we probably will get in-track reports from PM Motorsport in terms of pit-ins and pit-outs. But Joe, we come to Kyalami. It's a circuit that, like we say, we've never seen here at SimPlay Motorsport before. Like you said, you've got to be pinpoint accurate. But it's great to be here. Something different for a change.
Yeah, it's a very different track. Obviously, we've never seen it before in the calendar, and it being one of the most, I would say, dangerous tracks on the Assetto Corsa is a very interesting track, but it is a very fun track at the same time.
Now, it is a 4.5 kilometre length in circuit, and it's got some of the most interesting corner names. We'll go through them a little later on. It's actually not held the F1 since 1993. And it has a lap record that was set in 2020 of a 42.0. So technically, they're only 0.2 actually off the actual real-life lap record from the Kyalami 9 hours. But we're currently on board Leon Fernie, and if we just jump onto his cockpit camera, this corner here, a very interesting one, to say the least, Joe. The little left-hand kink is one of the most fun corners. But let's go through the corner names then, on board with Leon Fernie at the moment. So as we come down the start line, you've got a little right-hand kink we're going to come through. So over the start line, this corner, this has a name. This little bit here is literally called the kink. Nothing else to that one. You brake around the 100-metre board just before that, before you come into Crowthorne of turn one. Curbs a little raise. You get Crowthorne done, you then come uphill towards the Juxki sweep before heading into Barbecue of turn 3. And then you've got a lovely little bit of a straight before we come through the Barbecue in towards the Sunset. And you always love a good barbecue in the sunset at night. So through Sunset you go as you come sweeping around the corner. You've got to get yourself nice and stable. Good exit, crucial, before you then come into the clubhouse bend. So there's got to be a clubhouse around here somewhere. And I imagine it's that lovely building on the hill just there. Short little run down towards the S's then. Left and right, big lift from Leon Fernie there. You get the left one right, get the right one right as Leon Fernie there, a bit slidey through the pair of them. You come back uphill once again before you come into Liu Coupe. And I don't know if I've said it right, but that's what we're going with. Liu Coupe as Emo Guy gets past Leon Fernie there. And as you come around, you then come to this little kink here, which is literally mineshaft. Don't know if it was a formal mineshaft back in the day, could not tell you. Through mineshaft we go then, and down towards the Crocodiles is the hairpin corner. And some very strange names for these corners, but I actually I think they're quite amazing. Before we head into the tricky right-hander of Cheetah. You do not want to hit that curb as Emo Guy gets it wrong. Before coming into the final corner of Ingui there then, and that is a lap of Kyalami with 14 minutes left of practice. We are expecting one driver to come into the lobby. Hopefully he does get himself in. As Barabbas just got back in, I didn't see... Oh, no, he hasn't, sorry. Leon Fernie's just gone above him on the timing screen. So as we know and as we're aware, drivers are now going to be monitored for their track limits and their pit entries and pit exits. That is as from 7 o'clock when the lobby gets reset at 7 p.m. UK time. You are in race conditions, so you are under... scrutineering, you're under, what's the word I'm looking for? PN, you could probably help me out with that one.
Stewarding.
Not stewarding, you're under the...
Scrutiny.
That's the one. Yep, the scrutiny of the stewards, and it will be crucial to see if you can get this right. Now, one man we are disappointed to not have here tonight is that of KLF, because Dan has kept this under wraps all week and wanted Kelly to... Speaking of Dan, we've just gone on board with Ben Baff, and Dan's in front. You hear the loud roar of the Retia, or a Lamborghini Gallardo to be more precise, come through the sunset corner. But Joe, it's a shame to not have Kelly, because Dan had kept it under wraps all week. Oh, Ben! Ooh. Big spin there as he gets over the curve. Go on board with Shoemaker. Yeah, Dan had kept it under wraps all week for Kelly to come and have a surprise, but Kelly, not familiar with this track and only purchased the DLC last week, so thought it would be safer for him not to race.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame to not have Kelly here tonight. He's a pretty consistent driver. He makes a few mistakes, but the mistakes he makes always end up turning into big mistakes and just sometimes ruins his races for him.
Yeah. Now, a few things to take note of this week. So, OCEM2R has a race ban this whole week, so cannot take part this week in AM. He will hopefully be back for Zandvoort next week. Danlick has been demoted to the back of the grid. Now, not the very back of the grid, because Dan and the other new driver will be at the back. It's obviously the back of the grid for those who have taken part in the races so far. So, Danlick will be at the back of the pack in the championship order. For tonight's race, that will obviously mean that he will not be able to have as good a starting position as he wanted. Now, for McLaren, 2 wins away from 50 GT3 race wins. Can they get one tonight? It's not looking promising, because the closest McLaren is Ben Baff down in 6th at the moment, because it is a Ferrari 1-2-3 so far, followed by the Nissan. If you thought Emo Guy's Nissan was a crazy choice, as Benedict Varga in the chat, good evening to you. Dan with the Retia Gallardo, interesting pairing. Indeed it is. So we'll see what Dan can do. But yes, McLaren 2 wins away from 50. No Hondas, so it will not be getting any podiums tonight to get closer to its 50th. Also, no qualifying, as we know, in AM tonight, so McLaren will not get closer to its 50th GT3 pole position. In fact, it can't get that until next week. In terms of other little stats and facts, nothing really to take note of in terms of people getting in certain areas or certain positions. All pretty much as we was. Obviously, a lot of these drivers are new. Emo Guy can go on to 10 race wins with Argent, De Silva and Mazda. That's a blast from the past if he wins tonight. In terms of podiums as well, Emo Guy can get himself on... In fact, no, he can only get himself on 25, which will put him ahead of James Ash. Dan, as we know, the most successful driver at SimPlay, wins poles and podiums, so he's just going to extend his gap there if he gets any. Tough ask, though, in that car. For all the other drivers, they are all pretty much new to the series. And Leon Fernie's never actually won a race and had very little podiums here. In terms of start, so Fury will be the Retia's first race start. And I know we keep speaking of the Retia, but it is a car that I think we have to mention quite a bit tonight, because it's a strange choice to see on the grid. Obviously, Keegs last week in the Jag. If you're wondering where Keegs is, he's made the step up to Pro-Am. And he will be racing in a Porsche tomorrow night. But the Retia first race start, Joe, it means that the only GT3 car to not have a race start to his name, do you know what that is?
Oh, I can't think. I can't think.
Cadillac. Project Cars 2. Never had a race start.
Wow.
So, yeah. Out of, because obviously the statistics are based off GT3's Project Cars and what we've done here on ACC. So, yeah, the Cadillac never made a GT3 appearance and will be the only car to not have a GT3 appearance to its name.
Unless we do a one-off on Project Cars 2.
Unless we do a one-off on Project Cars 2 that actually counts for statistics.
The crazy thing is about the Cadillac, I was going to run it for one
You
season
did nearly
as
run
well.
it, yes. Yeah, you did. You came close. Yeah.
Oh.
I've been booted.
Yep, we've just had a few drivers who have been booted, so it looks like the G-Portal has had a nightmare. We are all still in. This happened to us on Porsche Cup night as well, so don't worry. So it's only Sharkbait, Ben Baff, Shoemaker, John Andrews and myself who are actually still in the lobby. Although I think I'm going to need to back out because it's not letting me take control of the car. So we are going to take a very quick break and be back in a moment time before the end of practice while we sort out the G-Portal. Don't go anywhere.
Getting hype when I aim up, elevating that game up. Stepping up to the competition. Only first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave. Eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate.
Well, I assumed you were just doing the watching the track and doing a mute system. That was in the...
All in when I show up. Whole place about to blow up. Superior to that competition. I'm in first place, yeah, that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave. Eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. Watch me elevate. I was born to win, watch me elevate. I was born to win, watch me elevate.
54 for me, for him.
Denim jeans, broken dreams in my pocket. Golden things round my neck like a locket. Carve your name in my mind, cause you caught it. You caught it.
5, 4, 3. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to SimPlay Motorsport. We are back here for the ACC once again. And hopefully we get going. Good evening, though, to Ben Varga in the chat. Kim Saunders, who says Go Tech Leader, as well as Cosmic Mike, Micro J's Fury's Grandad on Orthodubs, PM Motorsport, and Lucas Roth, who says, why is Dan not on that pole? Shocking. Going to win in that beautiful car. The livery, I have to say, is heavily inspired by his favourite car, the Mazda from the Le Mans, the rotary engine. And if you don't know Dan on Orthodubs, he doesn't shut up about it.
I made him very excited when he saw pictures I showed him on Goodwood at the weekend.
Dan was saying that they could hear us in the chat. Apologies if you could hear us in the chat. I forgot to mute it. Was trying to sort everything out rather quick. Forgot to mute the middle bit. Right, who are we missing? Everybody is back in.
Apart from a new guy who never joined in the first place, even though he's been tagged on Discord.
Been tagged on Discord and has been messaged. So he wants to hurry up, otherwise that's not the best way to start his season. Now, next week will be the last week that new drivers can join in races, because obviously we know that after next week we don't allow new drivers to join 3 races from the end of the season to interfere with the championship. And Joe, with the championship battle as tight as we've got at the moment, it is really interesting. You know, you don't want drivers coming in and interfering with what you've got going off.
No, if I remember correctly, you said I think it was top 8 separated by less than 20 points.
Top 9 separated by exactly 20.
Wow. So
yeah.
This is a really... Yeah, you would never want anyone coming in within the the last 3 races, especially if you're fighting, I don't know, for example, like me, Cobb and Jay back in the good old touring car days. It was like,
Oh. I remember that season.
like 2 points separating all of us.
Two points, I think, at the end of the season. Yeah, it was absolutely mental.
Yeah, if you had a season like that in these, you would never want anyone coming in the last couple of races of the season and making it even harder for yourself.
So it's going to be interesting to see what these guys can do then tonight. It's going to be fascinating to see what goes off out here. But more importantly as well, I think at the moment, it's going to be a bit of something interesting to see whether or not people are going to, you know, what the tactics are going to be and everything.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Oops, sorry.
No, go on.
It's all about making sure you got your pit strategy, your car is set up correctly, and if you can get even an undercut on someone, like for example, Sharkbait, if he loses out to tech leader by a couple of seconds, if he can pull those couple of seconds back in the pits by doing an undercut, it might just put him on the back of him enough to scare him into a mistake and you can go up his inside or...
And this is things we don't know, Joe, this week, isn't it? We don't know if the overcut's strong, we don't know if the overcut is strong. We just don't know a lot about this circuit to know what is good around here.
No, well, I mean, I've not been in the practice lobbies, so I can't tell what some of these drivers have been testing and what they've been trying, because obviously that's always a good note, is just be in the practice sessions, look at your opponents, see what they're doing, see if you can find a little like weak spot in their plan, I guess you could call it.
Indeed, that is the case. 1 minute 35 left of practice, so let's see what's going to happen as we come to the end of this session, and let's see what will be people's outright pace come the race, because is that tech leader's race pace, or is that his quali pace? This is the one we just do not know yet. It's going to be fascinating to see. Joe, if you had to pick a race winner?
Ooh, I don't know. It's very tough. Personally, I think I'd go with JP.
JP, our championship leader, is what Fury is recommending. Go on then, PN. I know you're obviously only watching pit entry and pit exit at the minute, but if you had to pick a race winner?
Who do I put the curse on? You can't beat any of them Ferraris, really. I'm going to go Sharkbait.
I'm going to go tech leader then, because I do think the Ferraris are going to be the strong car tonight. So let's see what happens. And as we come into round 6 of the season at Kyalami, what is left in the season, you may be wondering. Well, what is left is Zandvoort, Silverstone, Laguna Seca, and then the final race of the season at Hungaroring. Obviously, Laguna Seca, new to the ACC calendar this year, but we've had many a race there over the years at SimPlay Motorsport. So it should be fascinating to see. In fact, if I look at the most successful drivers, which we've not had a most successful driver yet at Kyalami, obviously we nobody raced there. If I look at Laguna Seca, it's actually BT Targa and Unorthodox have had the most race wins there. But this one will surprise you, Joe. Jamie Brazier, Andy, and a shock third driver with the most pole positions. Any clue as to who I'm hinting at?
You?
Mm-mm. Not a pro driver. Yeah. So Jamie Brazier, Andy, and the third driver are all tied on 2 pole positions.
Disco?
Dean Wysocki.
Wow.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now, me and yourself have had one race win around here, but so the best qualifier is arguably at Laguna. So next week when we're watching Pro-Am, and you look at who could be good for qualifying, Dean Wysocki is arguably the favourite on the grid. He's had the most poles on the grid out of anybody at Laguna Seca next week when we qualify there. Back end of the season, about 3 weeks' time. Apologies. So yeah, interesting one. So Jamie's 2 pole positions and 1 win. Dan and BT Targa 1 pole position and 2 wins. So them 3 the most successful at the circuit. In terms of other circuits we go to, the Hungaroring, we've only been there once, and that was done by myself for the race win and Boss off the pole position. Next week, though, is Zandvoort. The most successful driver there is Dan. 1 pole and 1 win. A win for De Silva, a win for Dennis Newman, a win for Argent, a pole for Plava, a pole for Shane, and a pole for Louis Allen. And I think Emo's gone out in this 1 minute qualifying. Not sure why. Obviously, you're not going to get round in a minute. This is just for us as commentators to be able to return to the garage. In terms then of Silverstone, the week after next, in terms of its most success there, Max Mulder and Dan, the most successful there with, in fact, and Sutty Apex with 3 bits between them. 2 wins for Dan, Max Mulder and myself, and then 2 pole positions for Sutty and Andy. And then after that, we go to Laguna Seca. And after Laguna Seca is the Hungaroring, as we said. No statistics for Kyalami at the moment. Quick lap time, says Dan. Daz in the chat. Quick lap times indeed, Daz. 24 people currently watching the stream. Only 6 likes at the moment. Hit that thumbs up button if you like what you see here. Hit the bell to be notified when we go live on the SimPlay Motorsport channel. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button, as we are so close to that 500 subscriber mark. It really does mean a lot for the channel and for the work that everybody puts in here. No one more than PN, myself, Dan, Mike, and that of all the drivers. And now Fury and Ben Varga, who jump on comms with us as well. As we're currently watching Emo Guy do an outlap and an outlap only. Joe, we go to Thursday night. You're in the Lexus, I'm in the Bentley. Bentley doesn't seem to suit this track, but do you think you're looking good in the Lexus at the moment?
I mean, it feels really stable around here, and the pressures stay consistent. Like, they're not overheating, they're not, like, going cold. Like, they're in that perfect tyre temp range. And, obviously, I've not been running a setup yet. I haven't really figured out a setup, but I always leave that kind of until the last minute. Which is always not the best idea, but...
As Emo Guy pulls off the track so that we can return to the garage, let's see what will happen in this race. So Joe has gone for J, PN has gone for Sharkbait, and I myself have gone for Tech Lead then, as we just await for the race, counting down for the qualifying session, because Emo Guy was on an outlap. It means you just have to wait a little minute. Good evening to Smithy in the chat. N-dubs for the win. Go on KLF. Lucas Roth comes and goes when he wants. And no, Dan, unfortunately, that does not count as another pole position on the statistics. As I've just noticed, it has put Dan P1. He'd do anything for a stat, wouldn't he, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
It's a pole for the Retty.
It's unorthodox.
It would, yeah, that's a point. It would be a pole for the Retty. It would be the Retty's first pole position on its first start. That's a point. What a shame. Track conditions, though, have changed to optimum. It is 21 degrees ambient, 28 degrees air temperature. So fascinating to see that as we head into the race, obviously the 4 p.m, it got up towards 30 degrees at the back end of that qualifying session. But as we move into 4 p.m, starting to get into that early sort of late afternoon, the track temperature may just start to drop a little bit.
Yeah, it's in the perfect window right now for those tyres. They're all going to be pushing as hard as they can from the get-go, but they just got to make sure they keep it clean.
They have got to make sure it keeps it clean as well. As good evening to DJ Phil in the chat as well. So we didn't get our new driver, unfortunately, come in today, which is a shame. As Dan, just looking on the Discord, Dan making himself sure he's got his right fuel. 45-minute race. Oh, I tell you what. I hope he's tested the Retty on 84 litres of fuel.
84, wow.
Well, I don't know if Dan's worked it out wrong there, because I'm just looking at the fuel bot that we have on our Discord, which is for the drivers to calculate fuel. Ant has done his based off of an average lap time of 145.5, telling him to use 65 to 70 litres for 45 minutes. Dan has done it, telling him to do, but Dan has done it based off of a 144.5, so a whole second faster. Using a lot more fuel, though. Ant is only using 2.5 a lap. Dan is using 3.2 a lap. So, interesting to see. And if you're wondering why are you sharing this information, Matt, it's private information. It's not. Everybody on the Discord can see this information. So it's not like you can hide your strategy from somebody else. Everybody can see this information. Right. We're getting ready to race. The drivers are on their formation lap. Let's do our regular run-through of who is in the correct or wrong grid spot. So, Leon Fernie should be at the front of the pack. And voila, as if by magic, he is. That is absolutely fantastic to see. So Leon Fernie in that correct spot as I get my notepad ready to go. Next up should be Shoemaker. P2, bang, he is indeed. Sharkbait should be P3. Yes, then it should be Ben Bath in P4. It is magical. After him, it should be John Andrews. It is indeed. After him, it should be Baraba. You can't miss the Bentley. We know it is. After him, it should be Emo Guy, which it is. After Emo Guy, it should be Tech Leader, which it is. After Tech Leader, it should be Ant. When I can find his name, yes, it is Ant. After Ant, it should then be Future Revenge, which it is. Then it should be Danlick, which it is, I do believe. Bentley, McLaren, yes. And then it should be the Retia of Dan on Orthodubs as he comes to the back of the pack. So Leon Fernie on pole position. Look like we're only halfway through the lap and everybody... Oh, Dan's dropped it!
No way!
Dan has dropped it on the formation lap. Just found something for the highlights next week.
He's pulled a plover, hasn't he?
He's pulled a plover. I can't say it. I can't say anything. I can't laugh because I did that on a race at Christmas time and won the race at Donington. So I can't really say anything about it. Benedict Varga, Sharkbait lagging a bit, yeah. I think he's from South America, so yeah, he does lag a little bit, but not too much. But either way, we're all in grid order ready to go. Joe, we're coming to the back end of the lap. Are you ready for this one?
Oh, 100% I'm ready. Actually saying that, I don't think I am. Because you
Leon
know
needs
it's just
to
going to be
pack the field up a
jam-packed
bit.
of full lap of action.
So Leon now comes in slowly as they come towards the penultimate corner. He just starts to back the pack up. Why is Dan in Am, says Gary in the chat, because every other grid was full. There was no space for Dan, but he's been put in a Retia, Gary131. Gary says he would have had a ride round at the back. As Leon Fernie comes to the final corner now then, the pack is backed up. He's done a very good job at the last minute of backing this pack up. Probably the best start we've had to an AM race, in all fairness, where no one's been out of position at all. But we are, for round 6 this season, green and go after a bit of a long wait to get away, and it's all, look at them, they're all spaced out in the midfield as Leon Fernie comes towards the middle of the track, down towards turn 1. We jump back to Emo Guy. Some are 3 or 4 abreast in towards turn 1. Is everybody away nice and clean? They are. Absolutely brilliant as a couple of cars behind go 3 or 4 wide. That is fantastic to see as we see Tech Leader as well already in this little midfield battle. He's gone slow. Short baits round. Dan's off in the background, but it is Leon Fernie who leads the way. Emo Guy is up the order in P2. He's got, though, the championship leader of Jay coming behind him. So it's Leon Fernie from Ben Bath in 2nd place. Emo Guy 3rd. Jay's 4th. With Tech Leader 5th. Ant up to 6th. Dan's running 7th with Baraba 8th. John 9th. Future Revenge 10th. Danlick 11th. Sharkbait down in 12th. And Shoemaker 13th. About to actually look up the inside of Sharkbait. No, he doesn't. Just Sharkbait round already. But straight away, Ben Bath and Jay and Tech Leader already, who look quick in practice, are looking quick again and are up the order.
Yeah, I'm just going back through the replay to see what exactly happened right there.
So Jay now pressure in the back of Emo Guy, and Emo Guy's Nissan just looks a little bogged down and heavy. Jay looks like he's got a bit of front end damage on his Ferrari. Leon Fernie, though, is going to still lead in this race. There's a lot of blue cars at the front of this pack. Blue McLaren, iron brew coloured Nissan, or it was before he changed it, as Emo Guy's going to look up the inside at the Crocodiles on Ben Bath, gets it done, runs a little deep, and now here comes Ben Bath, and in fact Jay and Emo Guy comes across the front of Jay, and Emo Guy into the wall. Jay's bounced off the cheater, and carnage already as Dan's now going to look up the inside of Jay, and that's a move from Dan. Goes a little deep, and Jay tucks back underneath Joe. A chaotic end to the first lap, and Leon Fernie leads across the line.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a pretty hectic one. I just went back and looked at what happened between Sharkbait and Shoemaker, and it looks like Sharkbait went for a little bit of a gap that wasn't there and went over the curb and just hit the back of Shoemaker.
So it's Leon Fernie who leads through turn 1 as they come up the hill once again then. It is then Ben Baff in second place right behind him. Then it's Tech Leader and Ant. They've both got past Jay after Jay's little skirmish off the cheater into the gravel. Dan in the Retia running P6 with Emo Guy 7th now. Look at that, and Nissan as well. Looks a little battered. Baraba's 8th with John Andrews 9th. Future Revenge, Sharkbait, Shoemaker and Danlick. Not quite sure what's happened to Danlick, but he's well off the back of the pace here as Ben Baff starting to close in on Leon Fernie. Leon Fernie, though, Joe, at the moment, we've raced with Leon quite a few times. Doing a good job out front so far.
Yeah, he just seems to be keeping it quite stuck to the track and just keeping
Shark
it
plates around. Hate to interrupt. Shark plates just gone around and hit the wall.
Thank you very much, PM. Carry on, Joe.
Just, Leon Fernie just seems to be doing the best he can with trying to keep control of that car. It does seem quite squirrely on the rear end though, through some of the corners, but he's doing the best he can, just keeping that P1 to his name.
I have to say, Leon Fernie seems like he's one of the most improved drivers we've seen at SimPlay Motorsport. When you think of where he came from and how he did to start with, he does seem like he's one of the most improved drivers. But he's got Ben Baff hunting him down and Tech Leader. And I tell you what, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the lead. All bright, all nice blue coloured cars. And it's McLaren versus Ferrari, it seems to be, but it's McLaren who's out on top as Leon Fernie's a little wide out the final corner and now down towards turn 1, or towards the kink, should I say. Leon Fernie a little wide out of Ingui and now towards the kink. It's Leon, Ben Baff, Tech Leader, all for the lead at the moment. Half a second separating them. Here comes Tech Leader up the inside of Ben Baff and gives him plenty of space, does Ben. Tech Leader's through and Jay's tapped Ant a little sideways and now that's caught into the side of Dan. Dan, I think, kept it going, but Jay tapped Ant there. And Future Revenge actually looking to get past John Andrews here as well. But what a move from Tech Leader on Ben Baff there.
That was absolutely pinpoint perfect.
Good precision. So it's Leon Fernie from Tech Leader who's going to go to the outside line of Leon Fernie as they come into the corner after sunset. Not the clubhouse, I think it was, if I remember rightly. And can't get that one done at the minute. Dan's now moved up to P4, but has got a Nissan, a Ferrari and a Bentley. And another Ferrari hassling in the back of him as Jay looks up the inside of Baraba. And I believe Jay has got through. The cameraman's not the best around here. He keeps losing them as that was Leon Fernie on the grass. What happened up front?
So Tech Leader went for a move on Leon Fernie. Leon Fernie went a little bit wide, came back on, tapped Tech Leader. And then Ben Baff came up behind, just seen a little opportunity, went up his inside, and it seemed Leon Fernie had a little bit of a snap coming on in the uphill section and just slightly tapped Ben Baff.
All okay between the three though. Emo Guy very wide as they come through the crocodiles. He's lost out to Jay and he's giving him a bit of a flash of the lights.
Is it Cheetah?
Yep.
Yeah, Tech Leader seemed to hit the cheater and just went onto the grabber, and Leon Fernie's gone back up into P2.
So Leon Fernie back up into P2. Jay's pulling out to one side. Not sure what this is about. He's had to let Emo Guy back through. I'm not quite sure. They're side by side though, coming down the start straight, and Jay does let Emo Guy back through. So maybe, did he just tap Emo Guy a little wide? We saw Emo Guy flashing the lights. Anti's on the back of Baraba now as Shoemaker gaining on the back of John Andrews, and John Andrews' car always seems to have damage but is scoring well at the moment. Future Revenge is on the back of Danlick as well down the order, and John Andrews currently doing well, but it's Ben Baff who leads from Leon Fernie, Tech Leader, and on Orthodubs quietly has got himself up into P4.
Yeah,
Danlick's lagging
P2 right now. Oh, he's on. Oh.
Danlick is lagging like no tomorrow. He's feet is off in the wall, but I don't know because he's lagging so hard.
We'll come off of Danlick. We'll leave him to hopefully let his ping drop. Nothing we can do about lag. Right, so we've literally, Danny's doing the last to first as Benedict Varga. We've got a group of four, although Tech Leader's got a run on Leon Fernie here as they come up towards the hairpin corner then of Liu Coupe. And Leon Fernie stays ahead of Tech Leader. Dan tries to tuck underneath and follow through. We've got the group of four up front then. We've got Emo Guy, Jay, Baraba and Ant once again as well. As Future Revenge has got himself past Danlick. Shoemaker's got past John Andrews. He can now pull away. But there's just little battles appearing though. But if you're Ben Baff, you've got a 3-second lead over Leon Fernie, who is holding Jay up an absolute, holding Tech Leader up an absolute peach at the moment.
Yeah, it's a pretty close quarter grid right now. Everyone seems to be within a couple tenths of each other until you get right down to P9, who's Shoemaker with 6-second gap to Ant, but seems to be coming a cracking night so far.
It is a cracking night at the moment, and obviously as well, a few cars are going to have that little bit of damage, so that there's going to be long pit stops to be had by a few of these drivers. Tech leader now looking up the inside of Leon Fernie. Can he get it stopped on the brakes? He tries to have a look up the inside. He can't do so. Leon goes a little wider. I thought Dan was going to have a look up the inside of Tech leader there. He can't as they come up towards Barbecue now. Tech leader just hit the sausage curb. He's gone a little deep. And does this allow Dan to have a run? It does indeed allow Dan to have a run. And as they come out of Barbecue, well, Dan doesn't need an invitation to a barbecue because he's now on the podium. He's gone and sailed off into the sunset as that's turn 4. I'm here all week, lads. Here all week. But he ran a little wide on the exit, and that's gave Tech leader the chance to maybe come back at Dan. But there is a gaggle of cars right behind Dan. It's Dan, Tech leader, Emo Guy, Jay Baraba, and Ant once again, and they're all in this queue behind everybody.
Seems to be like 5 cars.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars.
The position seems a bit crazy. I wonder
and they're
how
all
it's going to play out with the pit stops.
Well, they're all gaining as well on Leon Furnace, which is going to add another position. 27 people currently watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and the bell to be notified when we're live, and hit that subscribe button as well, as we are so close to 500. Tech leader goes for a lunge on Dan on Orthodox. The door was open.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, that is 2 moves that Tech leader has pulled off today. I don't know if Dan saw that one coming. That could have been Canada Formula 1 all over again.
Looks like someone's learned to Sutty send it.
Yeah, someone has learnt the Sutty send it, and Sutty's not here. Dan didn't learn the Sutty send it though, as he's gone a little deep at the final corner, as he tried to come back at Tech leader. That's meant he's lost out to Jay and to Emo Guy, as Jay and Dan are actually side by side, but Jay will have the inside line. Dan's Lamborghini Gallardo pretty much has the grunt. He pulls in front of Jay now, and that'll mean that he can get it stopped into turn 1, and Jay's got to fight another day to get past Dan, but Dan running deep there has lost 2 places. Ant has got ahead of Baraba as well, and they're all gaining now on the back of Leon Fernie, so it'll soon be a 7-car train. This is fantastic racing.
Collision between Dan and Jay coming up through... I can't remember the corner.
Up through Barbecue. Yeah. So that's put Ant and Baraba up another place. Jay, the championship leader's down 7th with... down to 8th. Shoemaker's now on the back of Jay, and Jay's car looks like it's got a bit of damage to it.
Yeah, I think Jay is going to have a pretty hefty pit stop. He seemed to tap Dan a little bit, and then Dan got uneasy, and then Jay backed off, but as soon as he put the power down again, Dan lost it in front of him, and he just T-boned the side of Dan's car.
Tech leader now, right on the back of Leon Fernie once again. Leon Fernie's not been dropped as much by Ben Baff as I thought he would. You know, he's done well to stick within a similar sort of gap to him, but Leon Fernie now is having to defend once again from Tech leader, who's now come right onto the back of him.
I think he's going to go for a send it into the last corner.
Either send it into last corner or send it into turn 1, or get it done on the exit to the hairpin, side by side into the cheetah. This could be very brave, and Tech leader wisely there backs out of that one and thinks, I'm going to fight another day then, as they come in towards the final corner. Leon Fernie gets it stopped on the apex. Now where's Tech leader? Watch for him. He actually did it because of him having to back out of cheetah. It's compromised him coming down the start straight. Leon Fernie tries to just break the toe.
I interrupt you, but Jay's just spun down around in the final corner.
Again, as Tech leader comes, and does he make contact? No, he doesn't. How? I don't know. But Jay, he's tapped a few cars tonight, is Jay?
It's my curse, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. In practice, he said he was. I know in practice he said he was struggling around here.
I think he's going to have about a minute pit stop because the rear end of his car just seems destroyed as well, and I can't see the front.
As you say that, Tech leader's gone up the inside of Leon Fernie, and that is job done back into second place. We've now got Emo Guy and Ant fighting here. And I'll tell you what, who is Jay's closest championship rival at the moment? It is Future Revenge. Well, he's ahead of him. But Ant, currently P4, only 12 points behind. And he is so far at the moment well in front of Jay, who's P8. And Jay's going to have a long pit stop. If we look at the points difference, Jay for P8 will get 13 points. Ant for P5 will get 15. That 12-point gap gets closed by 4. All of a sudden, it's 8 points behind. But with Jay's pit stop, you have to imagine that's going to be closed even more, because Ant doesn't look to have as much damage and looks like he's got pace over Emo Guy. Emo Guy in his Nissan I have to tip my hat to him because he doesn't look the quickest around Kyalami in the Nissan, but he's doing a good job to be P4 at the moment.
Yeah, that Nissan, like you said, I've got to tip my hat to him because that thing is just so hard to drive and control. It's unbelievable, and the fact that he's got it so like stuck to the track and just seems to be in his element right now.
Yeah.
I know he loves the GTR, but
well, he's got a bonnet that's lifted and flapping a little bit, so he's going to have a bit of a hefty pit stop as well as Emo Guy. At the minute, out front though, Benbath has been caught by Tech Leader, so Tech Leader's really been on it. In fact, I think Benbath may have made a mistake because Leon Fernie's even closer to him. He's very wide then. Oh, he's over the sausage curb, and Tech Leader now leads this race.
wow.
In fact, Benny's struggling. Benny's struggling massively here. Leon Fernie's coming on Ben. Emo Guy's trying to look on Leon Fernie. They're all line of stern. They all come into sunset. As we say, good evening to Nicky in the chat. Oh, no. Oh, has Dan been demoted? No, Dan wasn't going to race this season, then fancied a challenge in the Retia. But Pro-Am and Pro is full, so he's in the amateur class. And this is his first race in amateur tonight. Oh, Benbath's off. Yeah, he's struggling. There's something not right with that car. So that promotes Leon Fernie, Emo Guy, and Ant, who is actually attacking Emo Guy there. He's going to go around the outside, but doesn't. And Baraba taps Ant. Ant's now off. So Baraba's through. Shoemaker is coming. Jay's gaining. John Andrews and Dan, they're gaining as well as Dan on Orthodox is within 9/10 of a second of John Andrews. Well, Brands Hatch last week was absolutely fantastic for these guys, but this week for the Amateur League, it's been a little chaotic a little bit. Yeah, it's been a little amateur. It's been a lot of collisions, Joe.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a bumper car race so far, really. And it's just... Oh, Ant was wide at Cheetah. I'm not sure if he hit it or not. I just went onto him and he was off into the gravel.
Well, Ben can't have a puncher because he's carried on his way, and the pit window will open in about 3 minutes' time. This is where PN's duties will really come to the front. He'll be watching them like a hawk as we go through and down the hill. Shoemaker has got Jay gaining on him then as they come down through the kink. Shoemaker's made his way up. He had that lap one spin, Joe, that you look back on, and now he's making his way up. He's back up to 7th place at the minute.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself. Obviously, my cameras are all glitched, so I can't see the cinematic cameras. I'm just stuck on looking at the back.
That's because you've gone on. That's because you've gone on the replay. Yeah.
Ah, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's doing all right considering he had that little contact. But obviously, I'm not sure how much damage he's got. But it doesn't seem to be as much as it could have been. It seems pretty minimal, but he's keeping it going.
Ant has just got past Baraba. Benbath very wide coming in towards the Esser, so he was just on the grass a little bit there. But Ant is now ahead of Baraba. So while Jay is still P8, Ant is now P4. There's Daz in the chat. If Am is salty, God help us tomorrow. Well, you know, it might be different tomorrow night. You never know. You guys are meant to be more professional. You're professional amateurs, not just amateurs. So we'll see what happens. But it's Baraba and Ant here having a battle. Ben has dropped right off the back of these two as well. So he's had a little skirmish yet again somewhere. He's going to have Shoemaker crawling all over the back of him. As Unorthodox once again is on the back of John Andrews. Pit window opens about the 27.5 minutes, 27-minute marks. We'll see when that opens for all these guys. I think the only one car that doesn't look that battered is Tech Leader out front. Leon Fernie second place doesn't look too bad. And then apart from that, every car... yeah, the Bentley actually... Little scuff on the rear, so maybe a small bit. What about Future Revenge? No, that looks to have damage on the left-hand side.
Coming into the last corner at the Cheetah.
So
Dan's round. Last corner.
So John Andrews round at the Cheetah. Dan round last corner. Well, when it rains, it pours. And he didn't have a very good Porsche Cup. He's not having a very good AM race at the moment, is Dan. But he has been hit around a bit. And we don't know what that Reti is going to be like on damage. So we'll see what it's like after the pit stop. But Dan, very experienced driver, as we said, a 6-time champion here at SimPlay Motorsport. He'll know what he's got to do in the pits to get it better. Just nobody be close to him when he breaks for pit entry.
Cool, what was going
I think
Right.
you know that one a little bit too well.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I got experience with that one. Ant trying to gain once again on Emo Guy. It seems every time Ant tries to get close to Emo Guy, he loses out a little bit. It's Tech Leader, though. You have to say, he's the one who's made moves tonight. He's made 2 send-it manoeuvres, and he's now 5.3 on the lead. And Joe, he was the quickest in practice. He's put on some fantastic moves tonight, and he's just pulling away now.
Yeah, his gap is going up like the guys are in GT4s. I mean, it's gone from 5.3 to 6.3 in a couple of corners.
We've
From
had
Sector 2 to Sector 3.
This is what I'm loving about AM this season. We've had 5 different winners in AM in 5 races. Tech Leader is yet to win a race. As the pit window opens, PN will now be in his element to keep an eye on everything. We could have 6 race winners in 6 races.
Emo's
Tech Leader
in.
stays out as Emo Guy then is the first one to come into the pit lane. Anti's going to stay out, as is Baraba. Ben Bath comes in. Obviously, PN is going to be clipping everything to make sure that pit entries are done properly. Jay stays out. Shoemaker stays out. John Andrews, what will he do? As Dan's actually being caught by Future Revenge a little bit here, so the damage on that Retia must be bad. John Andrews in. Is Unorthodox coming in, who's wide through the cheetah. Dan in. Oh, watch them lines, Daniel. Very close to them yellow lines. Oh, Future Revenge stayed out. What will Danlick do then as he comes round the final corner? Or round the penultimate corner. Sorry, no, he's into the penultimate corner now. Apologies. Surely Danlick, he's got to think of pitting. He does. Into the pits comes Danlick. And Sharkbait.
I've got to imagine Sharkbait's in. His damage to that Ferrari is just unbelievable.
Catastrophic.
He's quicker than what he's got. And if you look at that, actually, the front bumper, the front part of his bonnet is lifted significantly. He is in as well. So half the grid are in. Tech Leader has upped his lead to 7.2 seconds. This is going to be interesting. Now, interesting strategy from Jay. He's had a few incidents tonight. Wow, Ben Bath has had a quick pit stop there. Emo Guy must have some damage.
It doesn't look like Ben Bath's repaired his damage. I could be wrong, but...
No, I think you're right there, Joe. I think you're right. I think he's carried on his way.
The rear is all completely just scuffed up and doesn't even look like he's got any rear diffuser left.
Well, we'll see what happens. As
John
Ant
Andrews has jumped all of them.
Wow, fair enough. Let's go. Is anybody in this lap? No. Top 4 will stay out. So Ben Bath. Then we reckon it's John Andrews. No, it's Emo, then John Andrews, then Danlick. So Danlick has jumped Dan. But I think Dan has definitely repaired his damage there. So everybody stays
Dan
out
has.
at the moment. Jay stays out. That's still another surprise for me that Jay stays out here. I am very surprised he has not pulled that into the pit lane. If he's got damage to his car, surely he'd want to get that in. He's being caught by Shoemaker, who's got a bit of damage. So this is interesting at the moment.
The thing that confuses me is obviously in the second sector, Jay was 1.2 seconds in front of Shoemaker. And into the last sector, he lost about 5 tenths. So he's struggling in the last sector, but everywhere else he seems to have Shoemaker covered.
He does. But the problem is, the longer this session goes on, is he going to start to get caught by Shoemaker because his damage gets worse? PN, any pit violations at the moment?
Sharkbait just crossed the white line.
There we go then. So that one will be jotted down by PN Motorsport, and he'll be straight on that in the steward's room a little later on tonight. So Sharkbait, the man who's crossed the pit exit line. It's just not been his night, has it, for Sharkbait? An early incident. He's had pace, but with the damage, he's not been able to do it. Jay's actually gapped Shoemaker 0.2 of a second. Now, the question is, Ben Bath at the moment is coming round towards turn 1. Jay is coming towards the final part of the lap. Tech Leader, who's about to lap John Andrews, stays out of the pits. What will Leon Fernie do? He's a lap ahead of Danlick.
Stays out.
Yeah, he's going to stay out. Anton Baraba. And Baraba. Yeah, they both stay out. Jay, for me here, I think is wasting time. The earlier he pits, the more he can repair that damage and get back out on track. I think he's coming in now, yeah. In comes Jay. Shoemaker stayed out. Future Revenge, the last man to pit.
What's really surprised me is that Jay's got all of that damage and he seemed to keep it pretty well under control.
But was he losing too much time to his rivals?
I think he was, because I believe you said his closest rival was Sharkbait, but
Ant.
it says Sharkbait. Oh, Ant. Sorry.
And Ant is currently P4. Ant, though, is being held by Danlick at the moment, who's a lap down. Baraba is within 0.4 of a second of him. Future Revenge, will he come into the pits? That's the question. No, he's carried on his way. Sees driver number on the track map. As now Danlick moves out the way. That's going to allow Ant to come through and lap him, and he brakes a little earlier so that Baraba can get through and lap him. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow that yellow, orange and green Rettier in the background getting onto the back of Danlick, and Danlick doesn't look like he's repaired his damage compared to Dan. So Dan at the moment is the man to watch as he comes through the field. Others seem to get away well. Did Emo Guy repair damage? And did Dan repair damage? They are the two veterans of SimPlay Motorsport, and will know what they need to do here, Fury.
Yeah, they're very quick drivers. Obviously, I've raced against both of them, and I believe you have as well. I can't quite remember if you raced against Emo.
I did in the small ACC championship we did, where you was in the Lamborghini. When we did them 6 races. Yeah.
I remember that now.
Baraba's tapped Ant. They're both off, and then they've got Baraba's allowed Ant to rejoin. Now Dan's going up the inside of Danlick at the cheetah. Oh, and Dan's tapped Baraba.
Dan's facing the wrong way.
So Baraba and Ant stay out. Tech Leader comes into the pits. Jay was out the pits as well. That's disastrous for Dan. He tapped the back of Baraba as they was all trying to come through. Baraba and Ant was slow after a collision. Shoemaker stays out as well. So it's Leon Fernie who leads from Ant, then Baraba, then Shoemaker. Tech Leader's in the pits.
His Future Revenge pit. Because he's got some damage to that Bentley on the rear as well.
What is it? 1 minute 40 a lap. So they've got a pit next time around, you'd imagine, of the top 4, sorry. But Dan now, once again, has that work to do again.
Lap, but it might be really close, because obviously Leon Fernie's coming up into Clubhouse now or Sunset.
Yeah. Right, so car 666 of Emo Guys, Tech Leaders, Ben Bath. Where's Ben Bath on the track? Car 23. Yeah, so Ben Bath, the closest rival then of Tech Leader for this race win. He's only just coming into the final corner now, and Tech Leader's out the pit lane, so Tech Leader job done. But Ben Bath will take second place. We are waiting for Future Revenge number to go green, so Ben Bath will go into second place here. An Emo Guy may find himself now on the podium, but it depends with others that's pitting around them. Leon Fernie, Ant and Baraba, who was all in that fight with Emo Guy. So Future Revenge still doesn't drop. We go to Emo Guy now, who crosses line. He's past Future Revenge. Next up will be Jay, who's going to get past Future Revenge. So the next car will then be John Andrews, who's just come into the final corner now, and Future Revenge is off his limiter now. So Future Revenge, excuse me, will stay ahead. Ant, though, was on the back of Leon Fernie, gets it into the pits. That looked a little fast into the pit lane. And you're right, Joe, Leon Fernie and Baraba have got to pit next lap around. But Leon must have made a mistake somewhere, because now Baraba's on him for the race lead.
Yeah, I wonder if he made a mistake through the cheetah, because there has been a couple of drivers tonight who have made that mistake through cheetah and just gone straight off into the ground. Whoa!
That was late on the brakes from the Bentley, and Baraba's missed turn 1 and gone well wide. And I tell you what, that was nearly into the back of Leon Fernie. Leon Fernie, hats off to him tonight. He's having a stellar night.
Yeah, he's doing really well, considering from what he's become, well, since when he started at SimPlay Motorsport.
Yeah.
To what he has become now, he's a different animal.
He is a different animal. 19 minutes left in this race. We'll see what people can do. It is Leon Fernie from Baraba from Shoemaker. So the top 3 not pitted, and they have to pit, really, at the end of this lap, because they're not going to get around again to do another pit stop. Tech Leader is our net race leader. Ant has been dropped and released. And Ant, Tech Leader's into turn 1. Ant's out the pits. Ben Bath's only just left the final corner. So Ant has jumped... Ant is now in a net second place in this one. And you have to say, is Ant just about to take even more championship points away from Jay here?
I think he is, because Emo Guy's coming up to the start-finish line. Jay's only in the last corner. Jay's got to gain that time over Emo and get past him.
Also, Jay was in a fight with Shoemaker, Baraba and Leon Fernie earlier in the race. So if these guys pit, they've got to pit now. If they pit and come out, do they come out ahead of Jay? And does that mean that Jay's got more cars to pass? It puts more cars between himself and Ant, because Ant will get past these top 3. As the top
Leon
3...
Fernie, Baraba in Shoemaker 2. So
yeah, Shoemaker 2. They're all in. And let's see what they can do then.
Question: the
Shoemaker
curb,
almost hitting the wall.
Baraba was on the paint at the curb coming in the pit lane. The paint red and white.
Oh, I'm sure that would have been noted and in towards the stewards to have a nice chat with. And we'll see what they do after this. So, go on, Joe.
I'm curious to see how close Jay gets to them, because he pitted obviously a couple laps ago and has fixed his damage and everything.
Shoemaker was 9/10 off the back of Jay when Jay pitted, if you remember.
But then Jay had damage at that point, so he was already struggling. But
so the
now
question
he's repaired
is,
his car. How fast has he been going?
That's the big question. So Tech Leader takes the lead of this race. Jay is coming down towards the Crocodiles now, which is the hairpin. Pit window is now closed, so we'll keep our eyes on Jay at the minute. There's no real battles happening on our track. Baraba and Leon Fernie and Shoemaker are all green. I think these have all jumped Jay. Oh, look at this on pit exit. Look
Baraba was forced out over the line then by Shoemaker.
Just seeing that, so Shoemaker's jumped Baraba. They've all come out the pits. There's Ben Baff as well. So Leon Fernie stays ahead of Ben Baff. Baraba's gone straight on. They've all come out ahead of Emo Guy. They're all ahead of Jay. So Jay stays P8. Ant is now P2. Here comes Shoemaker up the inside of Ben Baff. Ben Baff looks up the inside of Leon Fernie. Leon Fernie's in the gravel. Ben Baff and Shoemaker through. Baraba just a little too far back to make a position up at the moment. But I tell you what, Fury, this really now puts the championship up for grabs, because Ant's going to be claiming 23 points. Jay's going to be claiming 13 points. That's a 10-point swing. And there's 12 points between them.
Yeah, what Jay needs to do is just try and keep his car going as fast as he can without pushing it too hard, overheating the tires, going wide. If he just keeps it clean and consistent, whilst the rest of these guys are all fighting, he might be able to just catch onto the back of them with 16
Well, he's about 13 seconds off the back of Baraba, who's trying to hunt down Leon Fernie. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. John Andrews, 4 seconds behind Future Revenge. We go to Danlick, who's coming through the sector time as Leon Fernie's actually being overtaken by Baraba then as they come towards the Crocodiles. Leon Fernie's now on the gravel as they come towards the Crocodiles. So that's what you're saying about if he just keeps it going, he's going to be fine. Baraba struggling to get round the corner. He gets round it now. There's Emo Guy in the background. Jay's gap's now down to about 11 seconds. Baraba bounces off the cheater. And I just noticed Dan on Orthodubs has pulled his gap down to 6.5 seconds to Danlick. So Dan trying to gain on Danlick.
Oh, Jay hit the cheater. He went
off
the gravel, but he managed to save it.
So that'll cost him a bit of time. But we'll see how much.
Jay's trying to overdrive the car too much.
Shoemaker, by the way, Joe. Lap 1 spin. He's now P4, battling for a podium.
I mean, fair play to the guy, considering he had that lap 1 contact with Sharkbait, and it seemed like because he also got hit by Emo Guy.
Yep.
Because he came back across the track. So the fact that he's done that well and kept it that consistent to be back up into P4 and fighting for a podium, I applaud him.
Yeah, applaud him. Very good drive. He's got Baraba gaining on him. He's got Leon Fernie coming with Baraba. And did you see the Nissan of Emo Guy there? He's now within 9/10, which means Jay is 9 seconds off the back of this little squabble. And he needs to really get on the back of this squabble. Dan, from sector to sector, has actually pulled near enough a second over Danlick. So Dan flying. Leon Fernie wide into the gravel. Here comes Emo Guy then up the hill. This is all going to help Jay out if people start to make more mistakes. Been a very good drive from Leon Fernie. Been very impressed with him. As there's just over 14 minutes left in this race. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button if you like what you see here. Hit the like button as well and hit that bell to be notified. I think Shoemaker was making a move on Ben Baff. Didn't get that one done. And as we look in the background, Leon Fernie and Emo Guy was having a bit of a ding-dong. Shoemaker nearly loses the rear of the car. Baraba's got himself through. And Shoemaker now has just got to wait and be patient once again. He got on the power a little too early. Emo Guy to the outside of Leon Fernie. Will he get the undercut and tuck back underneath? He does. An absolute peach. And has he got the grunt in that Nissan to get alongside and past into turn 1?
I mean, you can't really miss this Nissan GTR, can you? With the bright colour scheme. Oh!
Oh! Well, they bounced off each other like a ping pong, like a pinball there. And Emo Guy just clips the wall. But no real damage here. That's somebody off up front.
Baraba came together.
Yeah, Baraba slow. Shoemaker's now up the inside of Leon Fernie. Leon Fernie's getting sandwiched here between Shoemaker and Baraba. Tell you what did we say? This will all help Jay out, and indeed it is. Out front, it's Tech Leader, 12 seconds clear of Ant, 19 seconds clear of Benbath, who's got 2 seconds to Emo Guy, who's got Leon Fernie on the back of him, with Shoemaker behind and Baraba right behind, and Jay is only 5.7 behind these 4 now.
He is bringing that gap down like no tomorrow. Before there was any incidents or anything coming into the Crocodiles, he took that time from 9 seconds down to 8.2.
I've noticed as well.
Being more faster. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
The Unorthodox, apologies, was now taking about 9/10 to a second out of Danlick, sector to sector time. So Dan in his repaired Retia is on a bit of a comeback drive here. The question is, Danlick to John Andrews is a bit of a big gap at the moment. Don't quite know what that gap is. It's 14 seconds. Has Dan got enough time to gain about 15, 16 seconds? I don't know. But again, look, he's took near enough a second out of Danlick then. As we just go back to Danlick, there he is. There's Dan, Unorthodox. So we'll keep an eye on that time. But at the moment, it is Emo Guy, who is now on the back, by the way, of Benbath. So it is Benbath playing a team game and trying to get Jay to catch him back up. But then it's Benbath, Emo Guy, Leon Fernie, Shoemaker and Baraba all in the background. Baraba's trying to come to Shoemaker, and there's Jay, look.
Jay has brought it down to 3.5 seconds over the last 2 laps. It went from 9 seconds to 3.5.
Now, Benbath and Emo Guy here. The cameraman's not yet picked him up. Emo Guy was having a look on Benbath there. Can't get the job done. Just say as well, look, Dan is on the back of Dan Lick. So Unorthodox in his Retia starting to just come to grips. And maybe if he had a decent Retia all race where it was fully repaired, maybe it wasn't the best on high fuel. Now that the fuel's starting to burn, Joe, we're starting to see that this Retia is actually not a little bad car, and we know that in the hands of Unorthodox it's going to be a fantastic driver behind the wheel to get the best out of it. He's now starting to charge on the back of Danlick here.
He's got the straight line speed on him. Look at him go.
Yeah, absolutely gaining like mad. He pulls now to what will be the inside line for turn 1. And that Retia has just flew past Danlick like he was stood still. It's the braking that's going to be the problem. Retia to McLaren. Dan knows the strength of that McLaren, but Dan moves himself up to P11. Back to the front. Emo Guy's got ahead of Benbath on the podium.
Question is, can Emo pull away from Benbath enough? Or is Benbath going to...
Well, Benbath is 6/10 behind him. Leon Fernie's right on the back of Benbath. There's a bit of a gap back now towards Baraba and Shoemaker. Leon Fernie's going to have a look into the cheater. Backs out of that one. Is Benbath struggling? We saw at the end of his first stint, his McLaren started to struggle. Are we seeing the same here, where his car is just starting to struggle a little bit?
Yeah, from what I'm looking at, because when Benbath came out of the pits, he obviously repaired his damage. But what I'm looking at now from the rear of the car is that it's all scratched up and everything. So it's like he's taken some more damage.
Leon Fernie's flew past him here.
He's up his inside, but is Benbath going to try and go for the cutback?
No, can't get it done.
The apex.
Yeah, Leon Fernie.
As you say.
It was indeed. Leon Fernie's now up into P4. Shoemaker gives Benbath a real clout up the rear. Manages to keep it going though. Leon Fernie now up into P4. Shoemaker and Baraba are side by side coming into sunset. As Benbath just starting to struggle.
On the curb. He's off of it. He got stuck on the curb for a second. I was expecting him to spin round.
Jay's gaining here. Jay is really gaining on these two, on this train really. Benbath, his car has just started to die at the end. Dan's got the gap to John Andrews down to 13.7. Baraba tucks underneath that of Shoemaker. Can't get it done through the S's though. Leon Fernie just on the grass a little bit. Has Emo Guy just done enough to get himself on the podium? Here though comes Baraba once again looking on the back. It's Ferrari 1-2, Nissan on the podium. That many McLarens this season that they're going to win the Manufacturers' Championship. But I don't think it's going to really matter because of the fact that the McLaren side aren't having a strong showing.
No, they're not having their best showing tonight. But I mean, usually the McLarens dominate every single track.
Yeah.
And to see that it's not actually the McLaren dominating tonight is actually kind of a... like... oh, I can't think of the word.
It's good.
Yeah,
It is
I
good.
was going to say
It is
that,
good,
but
yeah.
I wanted to use some big scientific word, but I can't think of them.
Well, let's see what happens here as we go
Shoemaker's
through.
right on the back of Benbath. But Jay is 8/10 of a second
Yeah,
within
and
Baraba
Shoemaker
and the
has
rest
just
of them.
gone up the inside of Benbath, Joe, and a little bit of a door up. That's going to open the door for Baraba to once again look on the outside of Benbath, and Benbath's got his teammate, Jay. One of only 2 teams here. Danlick, the other driver who was in a team, but we've not seen NTS since week 1. So he's kind of had to do it on his own. Baraba's now got past Benbath as well. Benbath's car has just died at the end of this race.
Benbath lets JP through.
Not surprised. JP fighting for this championship. Really not surprised there at all.
I'm curious to see, now that Jay is on the back of these guys, I wonder what moves he's going to go for and how quick he can get past them with only 7 minutes left. Shoemaker's straight on.
Yeah, straight on. That's gave Baraba the chance to get through. It's gave Jay the chance to get through. Jay has now got past Baraba as well. So in the space of a lap, Jay has not only found himself up a couple of places, he's gone up 3 places. He's now sitting P5 in this race at the moment. So that 10-point swing for Ant has just closed a little bit. But Jay's still got to deal with Baraba, who's coming back at him as they look at the cheater. Is Baraba going to have a look? No, backs out of that one. Shoemaker down 7th. Benbath. His car has just died in this race, Joe, twice now. Both at the end of both stints.
Yeah, ever since that contact with Shoemaker, it's made it a lot worse. Like, his diffuser is currently just swinging over every single bump. You just see it bouncing around. And it's all scratched, there's dents. It's like his car has been rear-ended, like, at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. Indeed it has. So we'll see what is left of this race then in just a few moments' time.
But Jay's bringing that gap down to Leon Fernie. He's already brought it down by 5/10. He's brought it down another.
Sorry, apologies. I've just noticed there's just a little problem with something I'm currently doing.
Jay's bringing that gap down to Leon Fernie a hefty amount. It was 4.5 at the start of a lap. It's now 3.8.
Yeah, here's another man on a mission. His daddy's got that gap down to 11.4 seconds to John Andrews, but I don't think he's got the time. We're going to stay on board Shoemaker, though, at the minute, who's just gone off. And does that allow Benbath through? I was just about to say Shoemaker's really trying to gain on the back of Baraba.
I think Shoemaker's currently overdriving the car.
Driver of the day could be an interesting topic.
Yeah,
we'll obviously get
hard to decide.
Oh, 100%. We've got obviously get the opinion of these guys at the moment, but we're currently doing the poll for you guys now in the chat. Do you know what? I'm going to put him in. And for his comeback drive, I'm going to put him in. So the poll is out. Tech leader Ants, JP or Leon Fernie for driver of the day at the moment. So get your votes in for who you think is driver of the day.
I think Jay might get past Leon Fernie before the end of the race. There's about 3 laps left of this race, and Leon Fernie has just been struggling. Like, Jay has caught him within 3 seconds in 1 lap.
Yeah.
So it just seems to be that Jay has got something on his car that Leon Fernie doesn't.
Well, is it the fact that Jay maybe repaired his damage and Leon... is Jay just quicker than Leon? Is that the thing? Because Jay, like you say, is really charging at the moment. Dan seems to have stagnated with that of Future Revenge. Still 11.2, but Jay, like you say, Joe, is just flying so far at the moment. He's really charging on the back of Leon Fernie here. In fact, he's right on the back of Leon Fernie now.
He's going to start feeling the benefits of that slipstream now. He's within 9/10 of him already. It just seems to be that Leon Fernie's sliding through the corners, whereas Jay is just so, like, planted. It's like Leon Fernie's got no downforce on his car.
Yeah. I think I have to agree with you there. He just seems to be struggling on corner exit, especially, doesn't he? As Jay gets very close to the back there then. And this is interesting to see at the moment.
Maybe wrong tyre pressures on Leon?
Possibly so, yeah, possibly so.
I was thinking that the same thing with Baraba earlier. because Baraba just seemed to come out of the pits after the first few couple of laps. He was just seemed to be sliding and struggling.
Oh, shit, Leon Fernie's bounced off the cheetah curb, as did Jay a little bit. And Jay's now got past. He's up into 4th place. He's now got 6 seconds back to Emo Guy. Can he come and charge? But Leon Fernie, a mistake from him, has put Jay up into P4. So Jay, once again, closing the gap in points between him and Ant. And he's not going to lose as many as he possibly thought he might at one stage. But Jay on a real charge at the minute. Tech leader, though, out front. 16.5 seconds ahead of anybody else.
He's just absolutely dominated this race. He has just got in that lead and just put a rocket on the back of his car.
He's driving the Ferrari hypercar, really.
I tell you what he is he's been absolutely fantastic. He's made 2 good send-it manoeuvres. He's made 2 really good moves. And it's just been, like you say, Joe, just like he's in a rocket ship. He's been on fire. Now, I've just worked something out, which is quite interesting. There is only 2 cars that can win the Manufacturers' Championship. And that is Bentley and McLaren. McLaren have pulled enough ahead out of all the points left available that no other manufacturer can win the championship. So there you go. So it's basically between McLaren and Bentley, but McLaren need to outscore Bentley by 96 points and they'll get that manufacturer's win already. So it's already nearly done. It'll probably be done this week, in fact, as Shoemaker's back within a second of Baraba. Baraba's actually gone off. We saw last week at Brands Hatch, Baraba's Bentley just seemed to die as the race went on, and it looks like it's dying again here. We're not on the final lap. Tech Leader's just come through turn 3, so we may get this one and another one. And in fact, Tech Leader is a little bit slow. He's gone off. Well, he won't want to do that too much because Ant is coming. He's coming up towards turn 3 now. Hold on to this. Could be your first race win at SimPlay Motorsport. We're on board Shoemaker and Baraba. Shoemaker is really hunting him down. It may now be the last lap of the race. Has Ant actually won a race this season? Let's take a look. No, he hasn't. So either way, if it's Ant or Tech Leader, it will be a 6th race winner in 6 races. As Shoemaker, pulls to the inside, down towards turn 1. He's got such a wide berth, Baraba has. Shoemaker has a tight line into turn 1. Can't get it done. I tell you what, chat, and lads in the comms box, Dan's gone from 7 seconds behind John Andrews to 3.3 and may have a lap after what he's on to get past John Andrews here. So let's keep our eyes on Dan on Orthodubs. Sharkbait, disappointing night for him as Shoemaker's trying to get on the back. Right, 37 seconds left. Where's the race leader? He's there.
I think there's going to be one last lap.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep our eyes on him just in case there isn't. And we'll get ready to input the result just in case there isn't. But he's coming into what? The final corner now, 21 seconds. Oh, there's going to be one more lap. So Shoemaker is going to have one chance to get this done. Leaders on the final lap. In fact, he doesn't need one last chance to get it done. Shoemaker's already ahead of Baraba. Drop back to Unorthodox and John Andrews then. That gap is currently 3 seconds. Dan's got the lap he's on and 1 lap extra to get this job done. Dan will see that Porsche getting closer, as if Dan's chasing down a Porsche for 1 extra position. You couldn't write that, could you? Dan's beloved car, and Dan's just took 8/10 out of John Andrews in this last part, in this first sector.
It's just a shame you couldn't drive the Porsche Cup like this, really. Sorry, Dan.
You're not going to let that one go at the moment, are you?
Nah, I can't.
Nah. Right. Up the hill comes John Andrews. We're currently watching this battle. Closest other battle is Baraba and Shoemaker. They've just crossed the line to start their final lap. Tech Leader, though, is in the middle sector. In fact, he's coming up towards the hairpin to come down towards the back straight. He's got an 8.5 gap, so whatever he's got, so he doesn't need to make a mistake here, Joe, because Ant will get him.
Yeah, I watched the replay back for a second, and it coming up through barbecue, Tech Leader just got on the grass a little bit, dipped his rear right into it, and just spun him round off into the wall.
Dan now through sector 2 has gained another 2/10 on John Andrews, so not as much as he'd have liked. Sharkbait he's gaining on Danlick, that's 1.1. So we keep our eyes on these battles, but we, though, are about to crown the 6th winner in 6 races. He is a part of the Flying Potatoes team. Not for points, though. But it's going to be Tech Leader to win race 6 of the season. 6 winners in 6 races. Tech Leader becomes your latest race winner at SimPlay Motorsport. Ant is going to cross the line for P2. Danlick and Sharkbait very close across the line at the end, as Sharkbait will finish P13. Danlick will get across the line for P12.
What a drive from Tech Leader.
And we now await Emo Guy. Dan's got ahead of John Andrews, I've just noticed on the leaderboard. So Dan's ahead of John Andrews. Emo Guy, though, is going to come to the line for a fantastic P3. Good drive for the Nissan before Jay wasn't a million miles away in the background. P4 for him. Leon Fernie, hats off to this man today. P5, what a drive from him. Great result. Shoemaker, at the very end, is going to hang on in there over Baraba for P6 and P7. Good result for Shoemaker. And Baraba, really, P7, good result for him. When I can find Baraba, there he is. P8 for Benbath, whose car just seemed to die at the end of this race. Future Revenge is going to come across for P9. So a good result for Future Revenge. I say a good result. He's lost points in his championship. His Future Revenge here. So that's not what he wanted. But P9 for Future Revenge. Before the Retia of Unorthodox is going to scream home for P11. Not the night Dan would have wanted, but I'm sure a big learning curve in that Retia, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, it's John Andrews. Sorry, Joe, it's John Andrews out of fuel.
I think
he's out of fuel.
His car's dead.
His car has stopped. He's out of fuel as he's rolling around the last corner. He's going to be classified as P11. It needs to get over the brow of the hill. I don't think it's going to. So John Andrews will finish P11 in this race. And that will be that.
Someone's coming into the last corner. They just need to push him across the line.
Push him across the line. Yeah, we've had that done a few times. Right, let's calculate these championship standings. I can tell you that McLaren now only needs 74 points over Bentley to over this week to win the Manufacturers' Championships. That could be done on Thursday night. The most pointless championship at SimPlay Motorsport. But then, one thing we do need to notice and one thing we do need to point out is the fact that... hang on a second. Yeah, is the fact that the championship standings take a different turn. And our new driver of CV Urena, who isn't here tonight, cannot win the championship now mathematically. Is Emo Guy. Oh, what a guy. Oh, that's great to see. Emo is going to push John Andrews home, who must have been sat there waiting. Emo Guy, an absolute legend, is going to push John Andrews home, look, to finish the race. Provided it doesn't end. Don't let this... Emo, get your foot down. Don't let the session end. John Andrews is going to cross the line. Here he goes. John Andrews is going to cross the line. But your championship standings look like this. The championship is 8 points. It's Jay, 103 points to his name. Ahead of Ant, 8 points clear. Tech Leader is tied in third place, 8 points behind. Future Revenge is P4, 11 points behind. Emo Guy, 15 off the back in P5. Baraba, 23 behind in P6. Gingerbush drops to 25 behind in 7th. Danlick down to 8th, tied with John Andrews on 74 points. Benbath in 10th on 61 with Sharkbait on 56. KLF in 12th place with Shoemaker in P13, ahead of Leon Fernie, who's 14th place. Hitman in 15th, Owen 16th, Checo Bress in 17th, Unorthodox up to 18th ahead of Lee Hendy, and CV Urena, who hopefully we get to see next week. No points at the minute, and he cannot win the championship from here on out. Every other driver is still mathematically possible, and in the Constructors, the Flying Potatoes have a 90-point lead over the Cartel Sim Racing team in that one. Currently in the chat, Kim Saunders, yoo-hoo, it's a win. She says, Benedict Varga, F1 2012 vibes, congratulations to Tech Leader. Maze in Micro J's in the chat. Tech Leader with a solid drive there. Got to love this AM Championship. Whoa, this car is bad. No one drive that car, says Unorthodox. I can't wait to see what he does at Zandvoort next week. That should be an interesting one. As Tech Leader is going to take the poll of driver of the day. 14 votes, and most of them have gone his way. PN, final thoughts from you and driver of the day.
Driver of the day, Tech Leader. He was solid. Fourth of Ferrari. I'm still a Ferrari fan, even though it's
Joe, driver of the day, final thoughts?
Driver of the day, I've got to give it to Jay for his comeback drive after all of the collisions he's had and all the mistakes. But considering after that pit stop, he sorted it out. He got his head clear, and he pushed through the pack and came back to take a P4, I think.
P5.
P5. My apologies. But either way, an absolutely outstanding comeback drive from him. So yeah, I've got to give him my driver today.
Yeah, indeed. I've got to give mine to Tech Leader. He made absolutely brilliant moves, and it was fantastic to see. So yeah, I've got to give mine to Tech Leader. And it's been a fantastic night for him. So E-Tech's fans and commentators driver of the day. If you enjoyed what you see here, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and the bell to be notified when we are live. If you want to see more of the action, subscribe to the channel, as we will be back live tomorrow night, 8 PM UK time. Myself and Ben Varga will be in the box for Pro-Am, in which PM Motorsport will be taking to the track of Kyalami to get around. And then if you want to see me and Joe on track, join us Thursday night for the Pro Series around Kyalami, where PN will be back in the commentary box. A little more to say for PN on Thursday night. He'll be joined by Mr. Rettier himself on Author Dubs 16, aka Dan Davis. And if you enjoyed Kyalami, you're going to enjoy Snetterton with myself, PM Motorsport, and I do believe Emplava will be in the commentary box to bring you Porsche Cup action at Snetterton, PM Motorsport's home circuit, as I believe that was Joe rubbing his hands there, as he probably can't wait for that one to get going. If you do like what you see here, though, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. If you are new, we are close to 500 subscribers. It really helps the channel out, every subscriber and thumbs up we get, so please do so. But we will see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, ladies and gents.
Freedom, I never had the chance to run. Leave behind the said and done. Figure out what's to come. Reasons, all the bigger things I can't ignore. I'm not getting what I came here for. Gotta get ahead of something more. So I think I found a new way out, way beyond the shadow of doubt. 'Cause I can't breathe. And I guess I could be stronger now and leave it up to fate somehow. But I'm doing this for me. Give it up, baby, I'm not fooling anyone. Always going on and on. Can't you keep it to yourself for once? Oh, I think I found a new way out, way beyond your shadow of doubt. And I can't breathe. Oh, I hope you're keeping count of all the times you let me down, and all the things you said out loud, the bullshit I could cry about. And I know we could be stronger now and leave it up to fate somehow. But everything I do for me.
I get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground so we can fly again. So we can fly again. I've been trying hard not to go out of my mind. And all I need right now is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. And you can lift me off the ground so we can fly again. So we can fly again.
Atomic particles traveling near the speed of light do decay more slowly than stationary particles. As strange and counterintuitive as it seems, time dilation is a law of nature.
Sterling Dock, you're out of luck, we don't give up. Yeah, we're going up, next floor is us, you're riding with us. Get up, we want you to get on your feet. Stand up, come on, get loose with the heat. Right now, we go party till we black out. So get the